Family, are we coming closer and closer to the mark of the beast?
We must seize the moment of truth giving.
I want to share this article with you because maybe we finally are. Let's get into it here at 180 Truth. Family, welcome back to 180 Truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Well, I want to talk to you today really about something I thought I would never see. I don't know about you, but I've been alive long enough and I've been a Christian long enough to see all the different stages and phases of the ideas of the mark of the beast. Who remembers Y2K? Who remembers all these ideas about barcodes and everything else? And at the end of the day, I think that we might actually be closer and closer to seeing something that can actually really represent the mark of the beast. I don't know, but I want to share with you this article here from the conservative here. It's just the European conservative, rather. Privacy fears as European Union, moves forward with digital ID. Critics warn the plans to give every EU citizen an EID will create a surveillance state. Wow. Thank you for being here at 180 Truth. Please continue to support the channel and get me a cup of coffee by going to simplyaviance.com, where you can get some fresh gear about faith, about coffee, about worship, men, women, seasonal gear. Listen, you sign up today, guess what? You get 25% off your first order. Orders over $100, free shipping. Family, simplyaviance.com. The European Parliament and the majority of the member states reached a provisional agreement on the establishment of the European Digital ID, an EID, the first central and fully digital identification system for all Europeans, on Thursday, November 9th. Conservative lawmakers and cybersecurity experts are sounding the alarms, citing concerns for potential large-scale abuse. Quote, we're taking a fundamental step so that citizens can have a unique and secure European digital identity. Nadia Calvino, the Spanish Minister for Economy and Digitalization, representing the European Council's Spanish presidency, said. Now, you may think, well, why does this concern me? I'm in the United States of America. Hold tight. Under the new law, the EU will offer its citizens so-called digital wallets on a voluntary basis, for now, at first, which will contain digital versions of their ID cards, driving licenses, diplomas, medical records, and bank account information. Sounds convenient. These documents will be recognized as means to access online services throughout Europe, and citizens will be able to prove their identity or share electronic documents from their wallets with a click of a button, the legislature's hope. Critics, however, see the EID as the building block of a coming European digital surveillance state, a way for the EU and any government to hold all of their citizens' personal information and track their every move. The agreement was reached just days after 504 privacy and cybersecurity experts from 39 countries signed a joint letter strongly warning about the pitfalls of the legislation as it fails to properly respect the right to privacy of citizens and secure online communications. Now, the thing is this, family, remember that if you are watching this in the United States of America, you can take for granted that freedom of speech and certain rights are part of the way it is in the United States, even though it falls short, even though there have been violations. A lot of other countries, even Europe, don't recognize these fundamental rights, and they never have. Why is that important? Because if they never recognized it, it's also easier to take it away. The researchers and academics concluded that instead of protecting personal data, the current text substantially increases the potential for harm, both by rogue actors and government abuse. Naturally, the Commission does not plan to stop EIDs. Another major plan that's currently in the works is the digital euro, Europe's future central bank issued digital currency, CBDC. CBDC. At first, they hated the idea of digital currencies. Now, when they have figured out how to control it, they are in love with it. Currently in early development phase by the European Central Bank. Critics who warn about total government control of citizens' personal finances through programmable money have long been saying that EIDs would be the first step toward an economy run on CBDCs. Internal Market Commissioner Thierry Breton has now even confirmed this as one of the main goals of the new legislation. Right after this agreement, Commissioner Breton said, "Now that we have a digital identity wallet, we have to put something in it." Conservative Dutch MEP Rob Roos, ECR, also present at the meeting, said what he meant is the digital euro, also known as CBDC. It is not too late, Roos added, noting that the current agreement still needs the endorsement of the entire plenary. With enough awareness, citizens could pressure their representatives into voting against it. Why is this important? Real simple. We want to be cautious. We want to be very careful that we aren't giving our governments more power over our lives than they are worthy of. And that is not a whole lot of power. At the end of the day, when we start seeing them reach for the power to control our well-being, to control and to take away people's finances for disagreeing with the government, for being in a place where if you have a different opinion, if you say something that's considered hate speech, they can close your bank account. That is a scary place for us to be in. I know for some of us, we may look at some people that's already happened to and go, oh, they deserve it. But where will it stop, my sisters and brothers? My sisters and brothers, let's be honest. Human nature is given towards sin. And so why then do we want to have sinners be in charge of so much without a system of checks and balances? And when it starts in Europe, it will bleed over here. There's an old saying, I'm paraphrasing it, that when Europe sneezes, America catches a cold. So that may not be the exact saying, but I like it, because what happens in Europe will affect the United States of America. But let's remember this, that the mark of the beast represents an antichrist version of really just loyalty. Will you be loyal to God, to the living God, or will you be loyal to Satan? We see in Deuteronomy chapter 6, this prayer, this ancient Jewish prayer, was turned into a prayer. It was first a command, "Hear, O Israel," in verse 4 of chapter 6. But I want to go down to verse 8. "You shall bind them," what's them? The word of God, the commandments of God. "You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes." We know that there are Jewish brothers and sisters that still worship that way, with the scriptures in a little container here on their foreheads when they pray, and they bind up the leather on their arms here as symbols. What are they pointing to? They're pointing to this prayer. It's a physical representation, a symbolism of their heart loyalty to the living God. That is what we're called to have. We don't have to do that as Christians. It's not necessarily a bad idea. I'm not opposed to it. But I am saying as Christians, we know that our covenant with God through Jesus Christ, that is meant to be in our hearts. But the enemy comes with a system to duplicate that, to replicate that. Now, it may not be literal. This digital ID is literally a digital ID, but it will still call upon you to demonstrate your loyalty in your thinking, in your belief systems, in where and what you find as the source of your life, and where and how you do life, how you actually are able to prosper in life. That's the symbolism of it. And the Antichrist system, the beast system, is going to perpetuate it in this way. Let's take a look at Revelations chapter 13. Let's remember what the Word of God says. Verse 16. Also, it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark. That is the name of the beast or the number of its name. There are folks, we can start tripping out. We can say, okay, well, this already happened. Some of us say this already happened under the Roman Emperor Nero. Some of us, but this is a spirituality, the spirit of Babylon, the spirit that would seek to subjugate us and pull us away from our loyalty to God, will seek continually to do this in one shape, form, or another. It may be the digital ID, it may be some other way, but the point is that it causes everyone, small and great, to get the mark. And where? The hand and the forehead. And it may not be literal, it may simply be symbolic, that you and I won't be able to do anything without its approval, and to go against it means we're willing to lay down our lives. Because my father taught me something a long time ago, that the tool of empire is usually the bread basket. Who's controlling where and how people eat, where and how people live. So family,
and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
Pay attention, be careful. Pay attention and be careful to who promises what and why. There are many of the conveniences that we already have in this life, in this world right now, that are certainly we're already slaves to. But to see a government reach for this much power so that it can shut you down if it thinks you eat too much red meat or you've driven your car too much this week, that it can shut you down that way, is a scary, scary thought.
Now you know the truth.
So practice your loyalty to the Lord, the way that you think and the way that you act now, so that you can be ready to resist the enemy when that time comes. God bless.